Welcome to the Inner West Library Speaker Series. Before we begin today, I would like to acknowledge the Gadigal and Wongal people of the Aurora Nation on which this podcast is produced and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging from across all lands this podcast reaches. Today we'll be talking to Khanh Ong about his debut cookbook, A Gay Guy's Guide to Life, Love, Food, published by Pan Macmillan. Khan shares his favourite family recipes passed down through generations and giving an insight into his family history. Vietnamese classics such as prawn and pork spring rolls or tamarind crab. There are recipes to make for and with your mates, meals to help heal a broken heart. Khan also includes the meals he loves to cook to impress a new date. Or if you just feel like being basic and keeping things simple, there are recipes for you too. Khan Ong has a passion for Asian flavours, and with his infectious smile, cheeky sense of humour, and captivating story, he quickly became a MasterChef Season 10 fan favourite. Khan was born in an Indonesian refugee camp to Vietnamese parents and grew up in the suburbs of Melbourne, and family and heritage have always influenced the way he cooks. Khan is an accomplished DJ and has studied fashion design and worked as a stylist. He is currently at the George on Collins in Melbourne, where he has revamped the menu and created a space where food is not just eaten but experienced. Welcome, Khan.
Hello. What an introduction. That was so nice.
Oh, thank you for that. What's the weather like in Melbourne?
It's actually quite beautiful today. I've just bought a compost put together just right before our conversation. It was hilarious because my housemate is so deadly scared of worms, but it's a perfect day to get up on compost together.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, Khan, congratulations on your debut cookbook. Can you tell us about your other career choices and how all roads led you back to food?
Oh, I feel like I've done so many different jobs in my life. I'm 27 now, and I feel like I've changed careers like three, four times. After uni, I went straight into fashion school. So after high school, I went straight into fashion school, studied that, worked as a stylist for a little while. Total fun, loved it, would still do it if I could on the side. But while I was doing that, I was also a DJ, and that became really lucrative for me. So I kept doing it for about 6, 7 years, and it became quite good of a career. I was traveling around the world, around Australia, playing different festivals, different events. But I always found that I was always happiest when I cooked. When I was a DJ, I had a lot of free time because I was only playing on the weekends. So during the week, I would be hiking, searching for mushrooms, or fishing, or going to the market, and it was always back to food. I'm a feeder. I love to feed my friends. So I think while I was DJing, I had a lot of dinner parties during the week where I had friends come over and I would try new dishes on them, and that's kind of where my love for food really grew. I loved cooking since a child because that's what mum and I used to do in the kitchen. But as I grew older, I started making things for my friends and my family, and that's how MasterChef actually happened as well. A good friend of mine knew that I loved cooking, so she actually applied for me.
And you didn't know about it or you knew about it?
I didn't know until I got an email being like your is incomplete and we require you to complete it. Obviously she couldn't film herself on my behalf. So I had to complete my application by filming myself, submitting some photos, and I was like, all right, well, it's already halfway there. I might as well jump in now.
Oh, that's very funny. Khan, you were a contestant on MasterChef and won the hearts of so many people. Can you talk about your best and worst experiences on MasterChef? Feel free to include any little behind the scenes secrets.
Love this. Yeah, I actually loved MasterChef. I loved my entire experience on MasterChef. From best to worst, my best experience, I reckon, would have been the people that I met and how much I learned on the program in the competition. My worst experience would be probably the first time I was on MasterChef, season 10, 2018. I was away from my family a lot, and communications with family were quite low. We were only really speaking to our friends and our family twice a week for 10 minutes. So that was really hard on me because I am quite social and I speak to my mum every second day, and that kind of wasn't happening. We weren't having long conversations. I found that really difficult. But there was nothing else that I really disliked. I enjoyed the entire process. I enjoyed learning from new friends. I even enjoyed living in the contestant house in season 10 because I got to learn from so many new people. There's so many things that different cultures and different experiences can teach you. And the MasterChef house, that is like on steroids. Like everyone is just helping each other. We're watching everyone cook. The past season, the Back to Win season in 2020, we lived in service apartment, so I didn't get to experience a lot of that, which is a shame. I know that a lot of the other contestants loved that we were in a service apartment, but I was like, I kind of liked living in a house where we could all teach each other new things. As for behind the scenes secrets, there isn't really much to share. Everything that happens on MasterChef is really real. The time limits are real. We get given briefs right before the challenge. It's not like we have hours to think about it. It's literally what we see on TV. There's probably a 3 minute, 4 minute gap between us knowing the brief and beginning to cook. That all they do is reset cameras and then you're off.
So do the judges do they actually taste the food cold though? I'm sure they do.
Yeah, yeah, they taste their food cold, but what happens is during the cook and just towards the end of the cook, the judges actually taste the majority of our dishes, all of our dishes really. We leave the room for a clean down, and during that process, the judges actually taste all of our prep, so they know exactly what our dishes are supposed to taste like hot. And then what we see on camera is them tasting it again.
All right. Very
Mm.
interesting. Can you tell me what was the inspiration behind your five super sexy chapters? Heritage secrets, the family we choose, a broken heart, being basic.
So it's funny, when I first brought the book to Macmillan, Pam Macmillan, it was actually only a gay guy's guide to a broken heart. I was kind of going through a little broken breakup of my own. And I was like, that's the book I want to write right now. And I presented to them that chapter. And the more that we spoke about it, the more I thought, "Do you know what? There's actually a lot more to this than that one chapter." So that's how the other chapters kind of happened. I wanted to cook foods that I learned from my mum and my dad, and I wanted to cook foods that I share with my friends, and also like my basics, and like for new dates. Like there were so many things that I wanted to show in a book, so we couldn't really stick with that one chapter as the entire book. So we decided we'll have it as a gay guy's guide to life, love, food, and just have that first little pitch as a chapter in the book.
I bet you're glad that you decided that.
Yeah, I did because I think I was in a different place when I first wrote that first chapter, and I was like, "This is the book. It's a breakup book." Like, and now I'm like, "No, it's a celebration book. We've got like recipes for all sorts of different kind of times in your life."
Well, we would have missed out on some of the recipes had you just stuck to the one chapter.
Yes, yes, yes.
Now, this is a tricky question. I'm curious. As a young boy going to school in Australia, what was the typical food in your lunchbox?
Okay, so the typical food I would have in my lunchbox was always chicken wings. I mum loved her chicken wings, so we always had like some chicken wings with like a soy sesame glaze on them with a little bit of rice. I think this is why I love eating cold rice. Growing up, I had it in my lunchbox, and it was never like hot because I wasn't reheating in the microwave or anything like that. It was always in the fridge cold, and so I would always have that, or there would be a fried rice, or there would be like clay pot beef. It was not a very typical lunchbox. Even our snacks, I would get like persimmons, guavas, and like the fruit was a little bit different as well. And I remember I used to trade my food all the time for ham and cheese sandwiches, Vegemite sandwiches, and I would see like a bag of chips. I'm like, your chips are not what I have. I've got like shrimp like chips and like they're delicious, but I'm like, I want to try that. Like, so there was a lot of trading happening in primary school. As I got older, during high school, I was actually really, I feel as though when you grow up, you don't want to be too different. So I found myself making my own lunches because I didn't want to tell mum, no, I can't bring fried rice to school. The kids are gonna make fun of me. So I was making my own lunches for high school, and I kind of really regret that now because if I was a teenager listening to this, I would be like, no, embrace that. That is so cool. If I have kids and they're growing up, they will be getting the foods that I love, the kind of heritage based foods, the Vietnamese food for their lunches, because I think that's really special.
It is special, but I guarantee you they'll still want to swap for a Vegemite or a peanut butter sandwich. It won't stop.
Yeah, no, I agree. I reckon they would too, but I'm still gonna make them eat it.
That's right. That's right. I know your mother was a great inspiration to you. Tell me a little bit about her measuring techniques. My own mother still to this day measures some dry ingredients in the palm of her hand, and my hand is a completely different size to hers.
That is so funny. I feel like that is such a mother thing to do, to not like they don't hide their secret ingredients or measurements from you, but because they cook in a certain way, they don't know how to explain it. So sometimes when I ask mum for recipes, she'll be like, "Yeah, so the chicken, you just make a stock first," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. What's in the stock?" She's like, "All the stock ingredients." I was like, can like from beginning to end, what would I put in?" She goes, "You make like a coloring, like using the sugar and the oil." I was like, "Yep," and she goes, then like your aromats will go in. I'm like, what aromats? She would never give me precise anything. Even with like the measurement, she goes, it's all by taste. You just pour some fish sauce in it. I don't know how much water you put into your thing. It's gonna be different. I was like, that's why you need to give me measurements, mum. But nope, nah, none of that. She's like, taste it. And then, oh, even at the end when the dish is done, and she goes, then you season. I'm like, what are we seasoning with? She goes, like your seasonings. And I was like, yeah, okay. When you say seasoning, sometimes you say soy sauce, sometimes you say fish sauce, sometimes you say salt, sometimes there's salt, pepper, and chili. What are you talking about? She goes, Khan, you know that dish has soy sauce in it. I'm like, no, I don't know that though. Like, I need you to tell me things like that.
They are funny. And what happens when you end up cooking something that tastes better than hers?
Oh, mum will never, never agree. She will be like, no, yours is great, but it's not the same. There was a dish that we did at our restaurant, and when she tasted it, she was like, this is titkar, which is clay pot beef that we do. No, actually, it was gakar, which is clay pot fish. And I use a different cut of fish. I think it was a ling instead. No, red emperor instead of like river fish that they usually have in Vietnam. And she loved it, but she's like, oh, it's not the same. It's not like it's really good, but it's not the same. I'm like, oh my God, mum, this is actually so bomb. But no, she would never admit that.
Of course not. That's too funny. Can you explain why you say raw bean sprouts are worse than the devil? Is there anything else that you will absolutely not eat?
This is something that I know is really jarring because I am Vietnamese and people would be very confused by the fact that I just hate raw bean shoots. I don't know what it is. It's in a lot of our salads, it's in a lot of pho our different broth dishes, but unless it's been blanched, I will not eat it. I do not enjoy it. Sometimes when it's in salads, I can deal with it because it's heavily drenched in dressing, so it kind of the acidity cooks it. But I find raw bean shoots have this taste that is kind of a little bit bitter, very grassy, not like the type of grassy that I enjoy from like spinach and things like that. I find that it's I don't know, it's just a taste that I cannot deal with. As soon as it's blanched, I love it. As soon as it's softened a bit and it's not that stark white anymore, I am obsessed with it. But if it's raw, don't give it to me. When mum makes me pho or any of those brothy dishes at home, she knows to microwave my bean shoots before putting all the other ingredients on top because I won't eat it. But besides from that, I'm so easy. Like I will eat anything. I will try anything once. I've probably maybe not try cert probably not a whale.
Mm,
That won't eat a whale.
no.
No, not my vibe. Besides from that, there's not really ingredients that I am opposed to. Everything I think has a time and a place. And even though I hate raw bean shoots, a bang bang chicken salad that has a sesame dressing with a little bit of chili oil in it needs the bean shoots. It's a refreshener. Once it's coated in those oils, I'm totally fine with it.
Mm, yeah.
Oh, bean shoots and alfalfa. Don't put alfalfa in my sandwiches, please.
No,
No,
they're
it's
so
the same
crunchy.
flavor.
They're so
No,
crunchy.
I know that's a texture thing, but the taste itself, I'm not in love with.
Oh, people will have to disagree with you with that.
I know.
You mentioned in your book that you used to be terrified, absolutely terrified of making desserts. Can you tell our listeners about your most memorable dessert fails?
Oh, yeah, like all of them. All of them in the first half of MasterChef. I think my biggest failure on MasterChef was always a dessert, and I think it was for Nigella Lawson. I did a pistachio ice cream with a strawberry and rose jelly and a crumb and some rose syrup or something on it. But I didn't know how to work with gelatin back then. I was like, desserts and pastry were very new to me. I could do the ice cream and I knew how to get flavor out of the ice cream, no problems. The actual jelly itself was soft set, which means that I couldn't get into a sheet like I wanted it to cover the ice cream. So I served burnt crumb with a pistachio ice cream and underset jelly that was kind of just falling apart on the plate. Oh, and I couldn't get it out of the container. So as I was scooping it, it just kept breaking and I just had like little blobs of jelly. It was horrific and it was an elimination. I thought I was going home, and Nigella was like, but he made a pistachio ice cream that is delicious in an hour, which is hard. And I was like, if I didn't have Nigella that day with my pistachio ice cream, I would have gone home. There would be no doubt. I would have been like I would not be having this conversation with you because I think the career would be completely different.
Oh, come on now. Nigella rescued you.
Yeah, she did rescue me because it was very early in the competition, and I feel like I was really lucky on doing MasterChef twice because it gave me an opportunity for the Australian people to kind of get to know me again and kind of see what I do. So yeah, I think I'm very thankful for that one day that Nigella Lawson saved me.
And you've got the book. So thanks.
Yes, I've got the book
Did
now.
you dedicate it to Nigella?
No, I did not dedicate it to Nigella. I actually read the dedication to you. It's actually quite tongue in cheek. The dedication is it's to my mum, Jung, my late dad, Tam, and my sister, Amy. I love you. To every
Oh.
foodie, home cook, and reader, share these recipes and the love. And to all my ex-boyfriends and lovers who are strangers now, lol. I probs wrote about you in this book and changed your name. Sorry about that. P.S. I'm winning.
That's wonderful. That's so funny. I know that you are super passionate with Vietnamese cuisine. What is your second favorite cuisine and why?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Mm,
It would probably be Indian food.
Indian.
Yeah, I find it really difficult. I find it that I have to learn a lot when I'm trying to make different Indian dishes. When you first look at Indian dishes, you think that they're quite similar, but it's all about that kind of knowledge and that experience with Indian food that makes it different. So the ingredients might always be similar, but the dishes will taste completely different. It's about how you use the ingredients, and I find that fascinating. Indian cuisine is also full of flavor, full of texture, really, just really interesting to me, and I want to learn more about it. So I would love that. If I could only eat one thing though for the rest of my life, it would be Greek.
Can I ask you a question about the title of your Greek salad? Now that you mentioned that, Khan, when I read the title of that salad, I went, mm-hmm. Listeners, you'll have to borrow the book, and then if you know the Greek salad, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so my the Greek salad that you're talking about is a salad that I have a lot of. I eat it for lunch on most days. I go to a place called Pino's in Param Market, which has these beautiful, like the absolute most beautiful dried oregano on like a whole branch, basically, of oregano, and it just sits in my kitchen. It makes a mess because every time you walk past it, like 1,000 oregano leaves will just fall. But it's worth it because every single time I make any salad at home, there'll be a base of cucumber, tomatoes, whatever I put in it. Sometimes feta, sometimes not, sometimes chicken, sometimes tuna, sometimes an egg, sometimes not. No matter what it is, the dressing will always have a little bit of olive oil, a squeeze of lemon, and a whole lot of salt and pepper, and also this oregano.
That's why you warranted the word Greek to go into the title as well.
Yes, it's the oregano. It's the oregano and sometimes the feta, but the oregano, I loved it because I when I first was eating Greek salads, I was only eating the Australian kind of takeaway shop version of a Greek salad.
Hmm.
I wasn't really eating a Greek salad. So when I was in Greece a couple of years ago, and I found that they were very heavy-handed on the oregano. There
Yeah.
was like literally little buds of oregano in all my salads, and I was like, that's fascinating.
The aroma from the oregano is just amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that's what I have on a lot of my salads. So I'm like, this is kind of Greek. This is just something I learnt in Greece. So it's my yes.
When it just made me laugh. Kind of Greek, kind of Greek. I thought should I mention that in the interview? Well, yes, I mentioned it now, didn't I?
Look, I'm not embarrassed about it because I feel as though to me it's not Greek in the traditional sense of a Greek salad. It's Greek because it takes me back to a moment
Yes.
that I use like that I remember from being in Greece. So it's my kind of Greek salad.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now, I'll let you off there, Khan. I will let you off, even though my heritage, as you know, is Greek background, so I will let you off. Only just slightly,
Yeah,
though.
thank you.
I like your version of the best way to drink water, a very special recipe indeed. Can you share with our listeners and tell them that it comes with a warning sign?
Yes, I get a lot of questions on my Instagram about different recipes, but sometimes people write things as a troll or a joke or whatever. While I was writing this book, I asked for ideas. So I asked people what they wanted to see from me, recipe wise, and someone wrote, "How do you drink water?" And I was like, "All right, this is supposed to be a joke, but I'll take it a little bit further." So the best way I think you should drink water is with a little bit of vodka.
How much vodka?
A little bit, like one shot of vodka, maybe two if you um, with also some ice, a dash, a squeeze of lime. And the warning is that if you continually drink that, it may result on you dancing on tables and singing to Ariana Grande, which I've done a lot of in my years.
Your number one favorite cookbook, of course, is your very own, but which is your second favorite cookbook and why?
Oh, this is so hard. Okay, there I've actually got two. Any cookbook by the Woman's Weekly. Is that very random?
No, it's not random because now I'm going to confess I've got so many Women's Weekly cookbooks. It's not funny. It's
Yeah,
not random.
it's not because they're foolproof, they're simple, easy to understand, and it's a great base for any recipe that you want to do. It's where
Yes.
you kind of learn, it makes you understand how things work, and then you can kind of run off and do what you want on them. But that's my base.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Oh
love
my
it.
goodness, that's really funny. That's really funny. And then we sit there and we say, well, that doesn't really like I had I had a go at you about your Greek salad, but then when they're doing
Yeah.
something that's Vietnamese, you're probably thinking, no, it needs something else, you
Yeah,
know?
but you know what? I think that a lot of people really love that all the Women's Weekly cookbooks, but they just are afraid to admit it. But I'm like, because we all used it on MasterChef at the beginning. We were all That's what like we get our base recipes from, and then we start to explore what we're into, and we move on from that. But that we all use them, so I'm
Yes.
not embarrassed to say that.
No, yeah, I don't know what answer you're expecting from me, but I totally agree with you.
I feel though sometimes when I speak to people and they talk about things like that, they expect me to say something like Bray or like Ottolenghi. Like it's like, but I'm like, the cookbook that I utilize the most would actually be a Woman's Weekly one.
Wow. Yeah.
And my second one is not a cookbook, but I use it a lot and I'm obsessed with it. It's more of a way to make my own recipes, and it's the Flavor Thesaurus by Nikki Segnet. Segnet, I think it is. It is the best book that you will ever find. It talks about flavor pairings. It has a full kind of glossary at the back where it's like pistachios go really well with chocolate, go really well with this. But it goes through like really weird combinations that you don't expect as well. And
Mm,
I think it's fascinating.
wow. I'll have to
Yeah.
look out for that one.
Yeah.
All right, just before we go, Khan, can you talk a little about the famous T-shirts that you wore on MasterChef with the slogan "You are loved," what it means, the inspiration behind them, and where they can be purchased?
Definitely. So when I came back on the Back to Win season of MasterChef in 2020, I knew that we weren't really allowed to wear any sponsored items of clothing with big branding on it. But what I loved was I wanted to share a little bit of a positive message to everyone watching at home. I know what a giant platform MasterChef is. It's absolutely huge. And I just wanted a little message that just kind of reminded people at home that there is a little bit of love for them in the world. So that's where the You Are Love slogan came from. After a couple of weeks, the Australian public really pay attention to it. I got a lot of messages about it. So I got those shirts made by an Australian company, and now after getting all those messages, I decided that I was going to actually make them for sale, and a portion of those sales actually goes to one of my favorite charities, Minus 18, which help LGBTQIA plus youth. I used a lot of their services when I was younger, trying to find myself, trying to find new friends in the community, and just create connections. So that was a charity that I'm obsessed with. So we started with t-shirts, and then there were face masks that were made, and I've just launched track pants and hoodies with also kind of like a percentage of every single item sale going to Minus 18.
That's wonderful. And I believe you've raised over $10,000 so far.
I've actually raised over $45,000.
Oh, I beg your pardon. That's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, the t-shirts alone first round raised $10,000, but I found that all the products really sold out. The Australian public are absolutely amazing, and they just loved getting behind it. And what I loved is I found that when I was wearing the Your Love t-shirts in real life, as people walk past me, they would just kind of smile. I think it's just a tiny little message that makes people smile, and that's what I am obsessed with. So you can buy all of those items from youarelovedworld.com.
Wonderful. That's great. That's great. Oh, that's amazing amount of money you've raised. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, Khan, for your time and for a wonderful chat. We wish you all the best with your new book, A Gay Guy's Guide to Life, Love, Food, and with all future publications. Khan's book is available at any of our Inner West libraries, ready for you to borrow. Log on to our catalogue and place a reservation at any time. If you would like to purchase Khan's book, please visit Booktopia online or call your favourite bookstore. Bye for now.